Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Huge show for you today. We've got Cody Simon, who's going to be joining us in the second, probably third segment as well. Get him to hang around a little bit. I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in. Last week's episode with Will Howard was huge. Everybody's been going back and watching a lot of our guys. We've had Donovan Jackson on, a couple former Buckeyes, Steel Chambers, uh, uh, Cade Stover as well. Lathan Ransom's joined us. We got a bunch of guys popping through. We'll continue to have them coming through all summer. So thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like the show, throw your questions and comments in the chat, and keep on tuning in because we really appreciate it. Some big stuff that we're going to go over here. Changes with the College Football Bowl playoff and schedule, how that's going to potentially look. Maybe some issues with the weekend of December 20th. Could there be some issues there? We've got some questions from our listeners, which we always love to dive into, and a little scheduling change that we'll kind of talk about there that someone threw at me already. But really, Joshua, what I want to start off with first here, Florida, the state of Florida just became the 36th state to permit NIL compensation at the high school level. Now, Ohio voted on this, and I believe it was the principals who voted on it with through the OHSAA. They voted it down. There's only 14 states that don't allow it, Ohio being one of them. I can't imagine why there's a compelling reason that they voted it down. But does this need to change in the state of Ohio so maybe potentially big-time recruits who could maybe get some NIL in high school don't start jettisoning the state a year too early?
Yes, I think it needs to change. Anytime you start talking about sports, collegiate athletics, I think the idea of whether everybody can attain the same status through the rules is their problem, but everybody should be competing under the same rules. I think it's the same thing with high school. And we know that there are plenty of different rules between state to state for high school athletics. This is one that seems like it's pretty widespread. I feel like every state, regardless of how they play sports, like if they're playing football, they're playing with four quarters. Like I feel like we should be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. So if you're telling me there are 36 states out there that have it for their high schoolers and it could become an advantage, number one, you talk about the recruiting aspect of it. I think that makes sense. But number two, like what would be the issue with a marketable high schooler making a little bit of money is the other question I have. I think it's a no-brainer at this point.
Here's one of the questions that someone threw at me, Joshua. They go, "Who's going to administer it?" I said, "Administer it? Like, what do you mean? This isn't something that is going to be administered. This isn't a government or collegiate program. This is something where if you want to advertise with a student athlete in your local area, you're allowed to do that. If you're LeBron James and Nike wants to sign you to a deal when you're in high school, you sign the deal. Like people are acting as if there's some sort of levels of administration that need to be created before this happens."
I mean, I'm even thinking about the little pocket that I grew up in. I'm at my parents' house right now, right down the street, Cheshire Market. I don't know if you know about it. They've got phenomenal pizza. They've been working with
Mm.
some of the high schools here in Olentangy for it seems like forever. And wouldn't it be cool if they could get a kid like, $250, $500 to come on a weekend and make an appearance to host something and to give compensation to the young people? Like I think people are even looking at this like, who is the Fortune 500 company going to work with as a high schooler? I'm just thinking about the local aspect of it. And like
Yeah.
you've been to these games, you see how many people are buying advertisements at the high school games. Like you would think that if they're Olentangy just had a four-star quarterback that's playing in the Big Ten next year, you would think that he could get a little bit of money from some of these local businesses. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever.
Well, even Joshua, it could be the difference of, hey, you give the kid a $500 gift card a week or something like that for his family. They go in there, they're eating there after the game. It drives other students in there. Like this is how it was organically supposed to work.
Right.
And you remember the Titans where they're going on the winning streak, and it's like, Titans eat for free. Those guys all
And then
come
they
in
ate too
there,
much.
yeah, clean it out. But like that's the reason people do that. It's getting back, getting involved, but also like
Yeah.
it's going to help drive business, drive awareness about their brand. And whether you said it's Nike, which you're talking about, maybe a handful of kids a year across the country, to these big companies, really it's going to be more of these small local companies, whether it's a local insurance agency, a real estate sales, like things like that, restaurants, athletic wear store, like all those things. That's to me what it really looks at. And So here's the deal with Florida with what they can do. All deals must be done independent of their school and cannot use their school's logo uniform without written permission, which obviously
Great.
makes sense. It's the case in college too. Student athletes are banned from endorsing alcohol, gambling, weapons, and tobacco products. Well,
Great.
most of them aren't 18, so that eliminates alcohol and drinking. Anything there, you get the gambling as well, and firearms. I think that's fine as well because you're supposed to be 18 to be able to purchase those. So, like all that stuff inherently makes sense. Um, and so the rules are simple. Keep it simple. Let it operate. But speaking of, before we get to Cody, Charlie Hall, uh, women's golfer, I believe she's British, playing in the U.S. Women's Open over in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They've got a sweet picture of her going and signing autographs for the kids. Love the engagement, love the interaction. Her just ripping the heater with it
Sure.
just hanging on her lip, like no hand up
Absolutely.
to it, signing autographs, smoking. And they asked her about it then, and she said she's taking up smoking now because she wants to get off, I believe, the strawberry
The
flavored or
vapes.
the grape vape
Yes.
or whatever it is. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't, she goes, you can't smoke everywhere, but you can vape everywhere. So this is going to ease me off of it. I feel like we maybe have lost the plot to society. I thought vapes were supposed to be in place of the cigs.
We've come full circle, right? Like, we thought that we were eliminating one thing for something that maybe was less harmful. And then people started to figure out maybe we don't know all that we're inhaling when we use a vape, and the idea that I can get the nicotine hit anytime I want it. No, 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 no. I got to put myself on a nicotine diet. So what I'm going to do is go back to the traditional tobacco products because I can't use those everywhere. Can't walk around the office with a mouthful of dip. You can walk around the office with some Zinzin. I think it makes a little bit of sense for what she's trying to achieve here.
So you got to get off the Zins. You get back to the normal dip. I heard a story where F. Scott Fitzgerald, the writer of The Great Gatsby, I guess he was living down in Asheville, North Carolina, and at oh gosh, I can't think of the big resort there, but they say he was living there and he would drink between 30 and 35 beers a day. And he told the people the reason he was doing that was he was trying to wean himself off of gin. So I guess there's precedent for this. The kids are just dipping into history now. One of the great writers wrote The Great Gatsby. Drink more beers,
Oh
get off,
my God.
hey, get off the gin, smoke some heaters, get off the vapes, do some chew, get off the dip or off
Dude,
the
that
Zin.
took me out. I did not think that story was going to have that punchline, Bob.
Well, I mean, kids today must have it figured out. So a little bit of levity here as we move forward. Without any further ado, though, we have Cody Simon coming up, Buckeye linebacker, prospective captain, fifth-year senior, coming back. I had a chance to talk with him earlier this year around spring break on my show on 97.1 The Fan, The Morning Juice. Can't wait to have him join as we go three linebackers wide here next. Welcome back into the program. Excited here to now be with one of my favorites, linebacker Cody Simon. Anytime we can get more linebackers on the show, Joshua, besides you, myself, and Schlegs, it's always a benefit. Cody, we're trying to get a hold of you this week to get you on here, changing up workouts a little bit. I know Mick likes to kind of keep everything moving around. They've got camps and stuff out there. So said you guys are going in the afternoon. What we got going on with the workouts on Friday?
Yeah, no, we just like to we talked about it in the off season, just trying to change things around to be able to be closer together as a team and really just kind of instill that community aspect of our team and get better leadership and really create more interesting workouts. And so we had I feel it's the first time since COVID, really, we lifted out on the field and it was a great time. Guys are competing. We had little like races at the end. So, it's a great time and it allows the guys to get better and to like grow this closeness that you need as a team to really go the distance. So, yeah.
So you had some races. I mean, with these position groups, like who's the fastest linebacker? You can say this because we know it's not you. So, I mean, there's got to be someone in there who won this thing.
Well, it wasn't like races; it was more like sled pushes. So that's when
Okay,
you get
that's more your deal though. You
that's
got the
my
thick
style, yeah.
legs.
But yeah, we've squad competitions and we've been doing it for years now. So different position groups go against each other, and it's really just to test out really how hard can you go for however long you need to go for it. Like there's no set time for how long you're pushing, and I think it really builds that toughness. And when you don't know the end, it's kind of, that's when it really sucks. But it was a great time though. Guys really pushing hard, working hard.
Yeah, when you don't know the end is when you really find out who the guys are too. And I felt like that was always one of the things that I appreciated about some of the change up workouts there. But you're back for one more ride in Columbus, Cody. Couldn't have been a decision that you took very lightly. So tell us about that decision to come back and say, I want to do one more in Columbus.
There's a lot of goals that you come into college with, or at least I do. And, I felt like they're they weren't met to the standard that I wanted to be at. And as I've been here for these past 4 years, like I feel like I've matured a lot more than I really expected to, and I've come to appreciate a lot of the little things that Ohio State and Columbus has to offer. Just developing me as a human being, as a man, and I think that you know leaving on that note wasn't the right thing to do, and really I had a lot of difficult conversations with my family, and one of the biggest things I just wanted to kind of rally the troops. I don't want to take credit for anything, but I wanted to be one of the guys they could look to. Is like, all right, he's coming back, so now we could all come back. Like, I don't take credit for any of that, but I think when people started to realize that we could really do this if we had another shot, and I'm just happy that the other guys they made some really tough decisions, and I commend all the other guys who came back, because it's not easy to leave all that on the table and come sacrifice it for one more shot. So I really appreciate all the guys on this team.
Hey, listen, you could take a little credit. I mean, you were one of the first guys out there. It's okay. Like your first mover position. I get it. Someone had to make the first move. I know Jack Sawyer was right there with you, but you guys were kind of two of the guys very early on that ultimately decided to, make that move. And Joshua, I was around when you were getting recruited, around when Cody was getting recruited. We had, lunch or breakfast at a Hangover Easy right there over on Neal Avenue 5 years ago, which seems now it's interesting, Cody. It seems like it was like a week ago, and then there's days where it seems like it was a decade ago, just how time goes quickly. But talk a little bit about, because we've had Lathan on, who's kind of in a similar situation to you, a guy who had some opportunities to play, some things have gone well, like maybe team success wasn't there, but the conversations that were had between guys that all decided to kind of come back, because Jack spoke to that as well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of it, or me and Lathan and like Ty, we all came in together, and Mitch as well. Like, we have goals that we want to do, like to address it. Like we haven't done our main goal and beating the team of North. So that is something that it kind of like burns in your heart a little bit. And so any other shot you could really get back to do that for the Ohio, and do it for the team, and do it for the city, like it kind of eats at you. So I think, from the conversations I had with those guys like Ty and Lathan and Mitch and like even Josh Fryer, like that's one of those main things that like that team success is so important, and you want to be remembered somehow, and that's a way that we can put our stamp on Ohio State. And so I mean I love those guys for being vulnerable and making this hard decision. So yeah, I think that's really why the main reason people wanted to really come back.
You talk about that feeling of not having a win in that rivalry eating you up. And we had Jack on, and he's a Columbus guy. He talked about it. I think Lathan really went there too, and was emphatic about how he feels. He mentioned the idea of sitting around guys who used to play that don't have gold pants. And like, you guys all obviously, like, it's inside of you. It's in your core how you feel about it. How are you taking that to the locker room, to the young guys, some of the guys who haven't been in the program as long, and really instilling in them how important it is for you guys to achieve some of the goals you came back for?
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting part about our team now is that nobody on our team has gold pants besides some of the staff. And so I actually appreciate the way Coach Mick's been, going into this offseason, because it's kind of like no one really knows what it takes right now besides some of the coaches. So, them giving us challenges of, you don't know when the end is, because you don't know how much it's really going to take, stuff like that. And I think that's what's going to end up allowing us to give that extra inch, to make that extra play, because you really don't know. Like the football is such a weird sport where anything could happen. You have to control what you can control. And I think when we're able to go harder and give that extra inch, that extra effort play, I think it makes all the difference in the world. So, yeah.
So, you're that old guy now. You had Tommy in there with you. You had Steele in there with you. Both of those guys are gone. You guys obviously shared a lot of time, 4 years with those guys. What's it like now being the old guy in the room? You've got Sonny, you've got CJ, and Nigel. I mean, you just have a bunch of young guys. That leadership position to you now all kind of rests on your shoulders. And I know there's younger dudes that are kind of stepping up, but you're that senior voice and kind of the lone voice in there that's been through it a long time. I mean, how have you kind of adapted to that? And did you talk to Tommy and Steele when they left? I mean, kind of taking that ceremonial torch. I know you guys are all close, but what's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is when I got here, I wanted to be a sponge. So I got here when Tough and Pete were here, and
Yeah.
Darren and Hilly. So I watched them, like I tried to mimic everything they did because they were ultimate leaders, ultimate players. I can't say enough good things about those guys because they showed me really what it's supposed to look like. And so I've just been trying to take what I learned from them and kind of continue it into how can I develop these new guys. We got some really talented guys on our team, and football linebackers, as you guys know, it's not an easy position. So, especially learning with Tommy and Steele, like and Coach Knowles has helped us a lot. We're just trying to figure out the little ways so you can always get better. There's always little, whether it's footwork, seeing playing film, or something else. But I think those young guys, they're gonna be so important for us this year, and it's a longer season this year, so we're just trying to stay healthy and everyone to be able to contribute this whole entire season. And I'm excited for the season, really.
So before we get out here take a quick break, you played with Hilliard, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Joshua, did you play with Hilliard?
I believe so.
That is remarkable. I mean, but part of that's because
time.
Cody, you're in your 5th year, and Hilliard played for I think 6. He was
Oh.
here forever. That is,
yeah.
What I didn't think we were going to get to that on the show, but the fact that I was just sitting there thinking about those seniors that year and Hilliard being with those guys, that is absolutely
bridging the gap. Justin Hilliard is the guy bridging the gap.
He's the glue guy.
Awesome dude.
The glue
Love
in
him
the
to
middle.
death.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk a little bit about Cody, everything he's got going on this offseason, graduation, where he's at in school, all that stuff. We got that coming up here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back in the show. Still here with our guy, Cody Simon. And like I said, one of my favorites, talked a lot about some football stuff and everything that's going on there. So, Cody, I mean, you're a smart dude. You've got from the East Coast. Dad went to West Point. Your mom, I believe, works like banking up in Wall Street. I mean, a guy, private Catholic school dude, way more advanced than Joshua and I. We're just slumming public school kids, here in Central Ohio. What your major, your business guy, finance guy, have you graduated? What are you taking now? And kind of where do you see life after football going for you?
Yeah. So, I for my parents, I do take school very seriously. Really learning from my brother and how to really navigate that school life. So I graduated last December with a finance degree. Thankful enough to do that. I think it was 3.5, I guess. And then now I'm working on a second major with some family science stuff, and really just I want to take classes to continue my learning stuff, but also want to focus a lot on football. I think it is important to keep the main thing, and I want to be able to focus a lot on the season. And for the better words, I want to go to the NFL. I want to go continue my career, and so I think this is the best opportunity I can use it with, and I'm excited for that.
One guy who can really help in your quest to play in the NFL, James Laurinaitis, back in the building. I know a lot of us really excited about that. Just what impact has he made so far now that he's in a full-time linebacker coaching position for you guys?
Yeah, no, you can't really say enough good things about him. I know.
Well, listen, don't blow his head up, okay? Like everybody sits here and strokes James all day. He was my backup, Cody. He ain't that great, okay?
You got to give him some slack. He wasn't the first round guy, so you got to give him some slack
because he can't run, and he'll tell you that.
Well, but he's great. The way he teaches us the game, and I love being able to learn from like kind of experience and watching it being done before. And he's he can pull up clips for when Bobby missed the play, and then he would come up and make the tackle. And then,
That's pretty good.
No, but
Plenty of those.
yeah, no, he has a ton of experience, so it really helps us when we're trying to figure out the little nuances of how to play linebacker. So I really appreciate him.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, obviously, him being there, and I think he's done a great job. He does as much as he knows scheme, he's very good at teaching technique and understanding of the game,
Yeah.
and does a great job with you guys. So I'm really excited with what he's going to be able to do, especially when you talk about incorporating a new player to your position. You know, Sonny obviously played a lot last year. Now coming in, you know, working into this role, you know, that I mean, how much have you kind of tried to help him, you know, lean into kind of understanding maybe some of the more nuances of the linebacker position? And he looked good in the spring, but how's that transition going for him?
He's doing a great job. It's never easy transitioning into the box. I feel like it's kind of something that you kind of either naturally have or like you've been doing it for a while. But he's doing a great job, and I would say he's been helping us more. He's so eager to learn about what to do and how to do it that he's getting us all better and making us all watch more film. And like Sonny's, he's a great learner. He's a great athlete, and he's like I could see him being a really good contributor this season,
Do,
and he
do you
contributed a
ever
lot
like wake up in the morning and wish that you were given the physical blessings of Sonny, like when you go
all
see him?
all the time. I tell him every day too. I wish I was his talented. So, well, that's our little running joke, but we love competing against each other. Like this past week, we were just going against each other, and like we get each other better every day. So, like having him to lift against and to work out against, it makes me such a better player, such a better leader too, because it's pushing me to be the better player. So it's great being around him and all the other linebackers in the room too.
All right, I've been asking all the guys that we've had on the show this, but summertime is around. You get a little bit more free time, get to spend a little bit more time outside the Woody. What activities have you been participating in? Like, what are your favorite things to do around Columbus during the summer?
Oh, well, I definitely say I've been, I guess everybody does this now, but I play a little golf. Not the best at it, but it's something to keep you outside and off of your phone all day. And um, but I try to get a little bit better, but sometimes some clubs end up in the trees or something like that. So, but no, it's good. I think playing golf and then really just going. I've been going on more walks lately, just trying to be more active. And
What are you,
and
like 70 years old?
man, my body feels 70 years old sometimes. I'm the old man in the room. But I would say I'm doing a much better job of getting my recovery and my rehab. And I
Yeah.
think like I really don't think you can get enough of it. And I mean, learning from you too, you and like Schlegel talking to me about like Schlegel got me back into like the red light therapy stuff. So, like I'm just trying to get every little inch I can. And the training staff's helping me a lot with that too.
Oh, you guys got great trainers, Barnhouse, Stu. I mean, the whole crew over there with what they do. They're fantastic. Solly. I mean, it's a great group that you have, and you guys are very lucky. Schleig's being back in has been fantastic. I
100%.
mean, how great has it been training with that dude? Because I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that's got more energy. It's like a bottomless juice energy pit that he can give to
Yeah.
you.
No, he's the best. When he's not there, and so whenever he comes out from the next lift, he's just screaming anything,
Guys,
yeah, just anything. But I love it. Whenever I'm working out with him, he always gets my first rep to be perfect, and I'm like ready to go for the rest of the lift. So he gives so much energy, and it's contagious for the rest of the team.
Yeah, Schlegs was that guy when I was there. I mean, he early on in my career, I needed a dude like Schlegs to be in my life, and then the older I got, I really appreciated having a dude like Schlegs there, no doubt. But you've been talking about this idea of competition within the team. You talked about you and Sonny going after it during workouts. You explained what you did on Friday. Just that competitive spirit in that type of environment. Like, how have you been able to navigate and see guys thrive through that?
Oh yeah, it's no secret that competition really brings the best out of guys, and it's a work in progress getting guys to really like that's your brother, that's your teammate, but like going as hard as you can to destroy that person because like when it really comes down to it, you want them to destroy that teammate, the opponent, and so I'm I think it's brought the best out of a lot of our players because sometimes when you're just working hard, really get the best out of it because you're just working. You think you're working hard, but when someone's out there trying to beat you, it kind of puts a little bit of monkey on your back. Like, I can't lose. Like that thought of losing is so bitter that you don't want to experience it. So I think that's what the competition is really just bringing out. Like, you want to win so bad, and you want every single part of your life. You want to win so bad, and I think the more we do it, the better it'll be for us in the future.
Absolutely. One quick question, one other quick thing before we get going. But well, so Bill Parcells told me this. He told like not our team, he's like, don't ever confuse activity with achievement. And sometimes you get caught in no matter how hard you think you're working. So pitting that winner, loser. I mean, it's nobody wants to be the loser point. And hey, remember, Fridays and Mondays count double on weigh-ins, Cody. Like that's big. So
100%.
get the weight right. You'll be ready to rock. You play a lot of golf. Do we stream any shows? Is there like movies we're watching? Like you can't be taking walks and playing golf all day. I mean, you're not freaking 70 years old yet. So like what are we streaming? What are we getting into?
No, I am. Oh, I've been watching for a while. I guess it's a show called Billions. I don't know if people.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Bobby
watched.
Axelrod. Bobby
Yeah,
X,
Axelrod.
man.
Yeah, I think I needed it too because I'm learning a little bit about the about investing and everything.
Yeah,
But
real finance, what he's
yeah,
doing over there. That's
yeah,
good stuff.
there's a little bit of extra stuff going on there. But yes, but just yes, investing. But all
That's
good.
good. Is that what your mom like? Is that the stuff that is that what they got going up there in New
She
York?
she's in a whole different world. I don't really know what she's just dealing with clients. That's all it is. But it's a crazy world. But she's great at it. So I don't know what she's planning on doing after that. But I appreciate all she's done because she's helped me get to where I'm at so far. Her and my dad.
No.
Great job.
You got great parents, man. You're doing a great job out there. Keep it up. Excited to see you here this week, working out in the weight room, doing some good things. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one, man. And we'll circle back up here before too long. Coming up next, we got some news on Corey Lindsley, former Ohio State center, how good he was, and some news about the CFP playoff and what that's going to ultimately look like with some of the dates as well. Here, coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back into the show. And man, it was so great to catch up with Cody Simon, one of my favorites. And Josh, we say it every week when we're in commercial break, just like how great these dudes are. And I remember sitting there talking with Cody, like literally it seemed like yesterday, and then some days it seems like a decade ago, telling him like, if you do all these things, like you'll play here and you'll be good. And that's the case now. And he's probably going to be a captain. So great reflection, great representation of the program. Hopefully playing in the CFP. Hopefully not playing this first weekend though. They got some news.
Yeah.
They put the schedule out. So the first round is going to be December 20th and 21st. That'll be teams 5 through 12 playing. So the first four get a bye. Quarterfinals December 31st and January 1. Semis will be the 9th and 10th. Championship game will be January 20th. Quarterfinals are going to be a Tuesday, Wednesday. Semifinals Thursday, Friday. Little weird to you? I mean, does the Tuesday, Wednesday, does that bother you? Or since it's, kind of Christmas holiday time, is that okay?
That's the only reason it's fine is, we are as football fans creatures of habit a lot of times. So it would be weird to not watch important games on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So I'm totally here for that. You get us a December 31 Jan 1 type situation, even if it's the middle of the week. I'm cool with that. The Thursday, Friday situation is one where I'm like, okay, but they've done Thursday games, they've done Friday games. It is what it is. Now, I know a lot of the conversation is revolving around going up against the NFL with some of these first round games here. And I do think that's something that college football has tried to avoid. And obviously, the NFL is going to get whatever they like. But it's really pushed me further and further to this thought process. We watch a national championship game for a sport that's played on Saturdays go down on a Monday night every single year. And since they're going to be going up against the NFL and the CFP anyway, put the damn game on a Saturday. Move it back to a Saturday. Play a college football championship on a college football day, regardless of what the NFL is doing, since you're going to be up against the NFL games during the college football playoff anyway. That's where I'm at right now.
Two things with this. Number one, also with this, Army Navy they're no longer going to be the only game played on that second Saturday of December, which, Cody's dad went to West Point. I mean, it's to me, if you've ever never gone to an Army Navy game, it's one of like the best experiences you'll ever have. Like
It's on my bucket list.
some of the great men and women we have in our country, all they're serving and the men playing in the game, tremendous. And so they're going to have the Celebration Bowl and the Camellia Bowl played on that day. And it's like, all right, like I get it. I don't necessarily love that because I like it as a standalone game. There better be nothing else in that window. But I want you to think about this. The quarterfinals are Friday, December 20th, and that's going to be one game. Then there's 3 games the next day on the 21st. 2 of the games the NFL is going to be going against, they'll have Baltimore and Pittsburgh, I believe, and then Houston and Kansas City. Those are 2 big marquee games.
Yep.
I think it's very conceivable that you could see Penn State and Texas both playing in that Saturday time window. And heaven forbid if the games fall that those guys fall on the same time and maybe one of them has a home game. I mean, you're going to be talking about, there's one thing that politicians know is a winning vote. It's college sports and local team sports for your district. There's going to be people barking up the governors of Texas and PA.
Oh, no doubt.
If they've got those games playing against other great NFL games.
All right, so let's talk about that. So you know that there is a law that's in place that the NFL cannot play on Saturdays during the fall. That's why
I think it goes to the second Saturday in December, I believe.
Exactly. So that's why you don't get the NFL games on Saturdays until late in the year when college football is typically over. And it's because people understand the importance of we need to make sure that this can stand on its own and people really give a damn about the schools that they went to, juxtaposed against the understanding that the NFL is the NFL and they're going to get the numbers because it is the NFL. And so I wouldn't be shocked if we saw some intervention politically to try to separate these 2 things because this already happened. This already exists for a reason. It's so unique to think about, but I'm kind of at a point where I feel like the NFL is basically like, you know what, we're going to try to take whatever we can take regardless. And I just don't think that college football should try to plan around that anymore. If anything, just go all in.
So the NFL is basically like my daughter, who is basically like the caliphate. They're going to grab all unclaimed ground and just continue to take and gobble it up. Joshua, if the college football didn't have games there, you know what? We're going to take this. We're going to take this Saturday. Hey, NBA, we don't care that you're on Christmas. We're just going to come in and grab that from you and just annex that into what we're doing as well. Well, if it's Wednesday night, who cares? We'll make the teams play 2 Thursday night games and then flop those teams and play them on Christmas Day. It's all good. Like, we'll figure out a way to ultimately get it done. And it's
ruthless.
It is. And they got it. They're the biggest bully. The NFL is first, second, third in viewing for sports, but then 4th is college football. So they've got to get this figured out sooner rather than later. All right. I promised Corey Lindsley, we're going to get to that next. I'll throw that into the tailgate talk because we get to answer a lot of your questions, some fired away. That's going to be brought to you by Garage Beer. So we've got that coming up next. Welcome back into the show. And now we've got Tailgate Talk brought to you by Garage Beer. June, well, it's steak month, and Garage Beer is partnering with Heinen's to help you celebrate. You can save $2 when you buy a 12-pack of Garage Beer and Heinen's steak. Send us a pic of your best grill setup on social media, and we will select our favorite ones to receive some cool prizes from our friends at Garage Beer. How about that? Check it out. Garage Beer, it's delicious. And Joshua, I think if you look, boom.
Oh, there you go, Bobby.
Right there. How about that?
That's amazing.
Got a little branding for the folks right there. So, all right. Before we get into our question here, we got Corey Lindsley, guy that you played with, I believe.
I
correct?
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Corey Lindsley played 10 seasons in the NFL. And if I tell you, since 2020, he has not given up a sack. 1,572 consecutive pass block snaps. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. He's played at an extremely high level. It's interesting going back to our time at Ohio State too. And, you know, Coach Meyer, there are players that he talks about that he believed helped to transform the program early on in his tenure. Corey Lindsley is high on that list, was a guy who wasn't a super high buy-in guy, became a buy-in guy, became a phenomenal leader for our team. And when he flipped that switch his game went to a different level. And when he was in Green Bay, he was phenomenally consistent. When he was in LA, he was phenomenally consistent. So you're reading the stats saying that he protected his quarterback just about as good as anybody could protect him. Not shocked at all.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you look at Corey, like physically, like not a guy that you would say is, it's not like looking like Paris Johnson over there, or even like Taylor Decker, someone who's like
Right.
big and physically imposing. Like Corey kind of looks like a mountain troll, like short,
Oh,
stubby
God.
legs, like not super long arms, pretty pale, looks like he lives underground. But the
Jeez,
dude
dude.
is a technician. He bends so well. Awesome guy, like ended up being a great leader. And what's funny is you said that, Josh, when we've talked to you, is yeah, man, I was not a good dude. When Urban got here and he's like yelling at me and yelling at everybody, he's like, I was not doing the right things. And so kudos to Corey for being able to like turn his career arc and get it pointed in the right direction. And that leading to him being one of the best centers. And I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, maybe. I mean, he might be in that conversation. We'll have to look at that. But you play a decade and you're a Pro Bowler that many times, all pro. Like he's checking a lot of boxes. So we'll see ultimately where it goes. Unfortunately, career cut short with a heart condition. But I know we got a little couple of tailgate talk questions here. And this was kind of for Cody, but I picked up some things that he was talking about. Nick asked, what does Cody Simon think are the keys for Ohio State to win a national championship? And Joshua, I'll throw this at you. And we had him on for, I don't know, 20 some odd minutes. Was there a theme or a motif that kind of permeated his talk about whenever we brought something up that he kind of kept leaning back into?
Yeah, I mean, it was really a couple things. It was the competition that he kept referring to, and the environment that they're trying to build there in the Woody. But the other thing is how close this team is, how close he's gotten with guys, and the leadership that they have been able to generate because of some of the veteran guys that came back and how close they've been and all those different things. And so I think those are going to be the things that they lean on as a team. They're going to lean on competition. He kept saying, I'm just trying to, gain another inch, right? Like they're going to lean on those things. They're going to lean on how close they are. But I would throw this out here to people that are like, what are the keys to winning a championship? Urban used to always say this is like, I'm never going to come up in the front of the room in the beginning of the year and say, this is what we're going to do to win a title. What he always told us is if all of our units are at unit strength, then it's a job well done. And if we can say that even in a game that we lost, and maybe we were just supposed to lose that game, but it's a job well done. But I bet you if we're at unit strength every game we play, we're going to win all of our games. And so I think they can distill it down even from how do you win a championship to how are we going to be the best units individually that we can be and come together as a team. And if they do that, they'll be just fine.
And it's interesting, like you said, because he kept talking about like that toughness, like finding another inch, like here and there. And I love that Mick now, like people want the keys to winning the national championship. They want to think it's like a play or some special defense. Like Ohio State, just about every year has the ingredients of what it takes. There's probably 5 to 12, I don't know, on any given year teams that could, but it's those teams that do the little extra. And like the fact that Mick now is training them, and I hated not knowing what the run distances were. Like, hey, how many are we doing, coach? Yeah, how many doing?
I'll tell you when you're done.
I'll tell you when you're done. You just keep going. You're like, oh gosh, so I'm just supposed to push this sled until you blow the whistle? Is it 10 seconds? Is it 20? Is it 30? No, you push until the task is done. You don't know. And I remember hearing this on social media. I think it was, gosh, I can't think where the strength coach was from. Schleggs knows him. Of course he would. But he's like, would you be willing to sprint if the distance was unknown? And it like opens up a whole bag because you're going to be inflicting some pain. You don't know how long it's going to last, but that's what it's going to take. So I think Cody and those guys are doing a great job with it. All right, coming up, we'll wrap up the show. Got some odds. Heisman, Coach of the Year, maybe Doak Walker for a certain Buckeye. We'll take a look at that in our betting segment brought to you by Tipico. Here's we wrap up the program. All right, final segment of the program. Thank you for tuning in today. Man, Cody Simon was absolutely phenomenal. We've had a lot of great guests on. We're going to continue to have more. Make sure if you're watching it on YouTube, you like, subscribe, comment. That way we can interact. I love reading through them, even when some of them are a little bit negative. Hey, feedback is a gift. That's how we improve. But now I want to talk to you about Tipico Sportsbook. They're going to change the way you bet with their new Tipico Rewards program. The more you bet, the more you can earn, the more you can win. Get up to 5% cash back on all your bets. Be sure to check out our daily big play boost, giving you the best odds on Ohio sports. And don't forget to follow along with your favorite big play personalities on social media to lock in your bets with us all week long. Remember, must be 21 years old to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, got a couple odds here for you, Joshua. Got a couple guys that could win some things. If you had a chance to bet on which one of these things would potentially happen, we have a Will Howard wins the Heisman, Ryan Day wins Coach of the Year, and either Quinshon Judkins or Travion Henderson wins the Doak Walker. Which one would you lean on?
So the Will Howard wins Heisman one, I look at that and I'm like, okay, looking at some of the last quarterbacks that won Heisman's, looking at some of the guys from Ohio State that were Heisman finalists, I think Will's going to be very good. Do I think he's going to be Justin Fields or CJ Stroud? Probably not. So I feel like that one I'd stay away from. The Judkins or Henderson one is a tough one because the way these awards work is I feel like you have to have a ton of volume, right? Like you got to have the stats, regardless of the way that the tape looks. They're going to look at the numbers by the end of the year, and they're going to be splitting the pill. So it's a tougher sell, but I think it's a little bit more realistic. The one that intrigues me is Ryan Day wins Coach of the Year, because you would have an opportunity to beat an Oregon team that's going to be very good on the road. You would have an opportunity to avenge your past losses against Michigan in the horseshoe, and you could do it in convincing fashion. And then if you win the Big Ten, which is going to be a pretty deep conference this year, it feels like he would have as good of a case as anybody to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. So out of the three, I actually like that one the most.
I do too, as well. Will Howard, I think the Heisman, I think he can get there. If they're number one in the country, they're the number one overall seed, I think he's got a good shot at potentially winning it, because that means he probably threw for a ton of yards, made big plays in big games. Because my three Heisman qualifications, you have to be one of the best players on a great team. You have to have the requisite stats, but then you have to have big plays in big moments. And so you look Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, he'll have opportunities to do that.
Are you a Heisman voter?
Yes.
Everybody I know has a vote except for me.
Hey, I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get it. Believe me. I mean,
I'm at the stealing point right now. I'm about to steal for this vote.
I said, I mean, if it's a finite number and someone needs to pass to be able to move on, I mean, I'm not above that either. But
so you're stealing lives.
Exactly. Whatever it takes. Hey, at all costs, point to the sign at all costs. You know exactly what Urban's talking about. Right. Judkins and Trey, like you said, they're going to split it. Ryan Day winning Coach of the Year. Ohio State, it's incredibly difficult to win Coach of the Year at Ohio State. Like, you're discriminated against because of the perceived talent you have. But beating Michigan, like I said, I think Kalen DeBoer is another guy that would have a chance to potentially win it.
For sure.
Down at Bama. And then there's obviously some people that'll make a push. But
I mean, if Sark has a big year in the SEC, he's going to be right in line for that thing too.
And you're right, and rightfully so, because they're entering a new conference. They're a top 4 team. If they fulfill expectations, that would be huge. So I would go with Ryan as Coach of the Year, because I think they're going to be in that top 4 team, win the conference. All that can go their way. So thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Bobby Carpenter Show. Thank you to Cody Simon, my man Joshua Perry. Tune in next week on the Bobby Carpenter Show.